was still in my hospital gown when my sister texted me, "You can watch my kids for a week, right? I just booked a trip to Paris." I blinked at the message. My IV still taped to my wrist, my legs heavy from the anesthesia. I just had abdominal surgery. I could barely sit up without help. But she didn't ask, she told me. That was her way. That was always her way. Growing up, I was the quiet one. She was the golden child, loud, charming, selfishly radiant. When she wanted something, she got it. I'd clean up her messes, defend her lies, lend her money she never returned. I thought that was love. Turns out it was just servitude dressed in loyalty. Even after my surgery, she didn't visit, she didn't call, but the moment her flight confirmation hit, she remembered me, not as a sister, but as free childcare. I should have said no, but something in me wanted to say yes, not out of kindness, out of curiosity. The day she dropped off her kids, she barely looked at me, just dumped the bags in my hallway, kissed the air, and said, "Don't stress, they're easy." Then she was gone. I stood there, in my robe, stitches burning under the pressure of my body weight, staring at her SUV rolling away. Her kids, 5 and 7, looked up at me, confused. I smiled gently. "Looks like it's just us." Inside, I was already building the blueprint. She thought I was helpless. That was her first mistake. While I sat through pain and exhaustion, I started documenting everything. Texts, ignored calls, the condition I was in, her absence. I even recorded the moment she left, her laughter echoing down the driveway as she sped toward the airport. I had friends in legal aid, quiet, competent friends. Within a day, I'd filed for emergency assistance, claiming inability to care for minors post-surgery. The social worker's visit came on day 3. Her children were placed in temporary care, not because I wanted to hurt them, but because they deserved to be safe, not babysat by a woman who couldn't even lift a pot of soup. When she called on day 5, carefree, sipping tea somewhere under the Eiffel Tower, I answered. She laughed through the phone. "You're surviving, right? I knew you'd manage. You always do." I smiled at the wall. "Yes, I manage everything, don't I?" Her return was timed perfectly. A Sunday evening, jet-lagged, entitled. I left the front door unlocked. She burst in with sunglasses on her head and shopping bags swinging from her arms. "Kids, mommy's home." Silence. I watched her freeze. Her eyes darted around. Empty couch, folded blankets, toys gone. The air was too still. "Where are they?" she asked, voice tightening. I sat on the armchair, wrapped in a soft blanket, a cup of tea steaming beside me. Calm, composed. "Safe," I said. "Safer than they were when you abandoned them." Her mouth fell open. "Excuse me? I asked you to watch them." "No, you told me to, while I was recovering from surgery." I gestured toward my abdomen. "You left me with 2 kids, no medication, no support, and a body stitched like a paper doll." She blinked, confusion mixing with guilt, or maybe fear. "Where are they? Seriously." I handed her a folder. Inside, reports, timestamps, screenshots, the paper trail of her negligence. "Child Services has them. You'll need to meet with them tomorrow morning. They were concerned." Her voice cracked. "You called CPS on me?" I tilted my head. "No, I called for help. You gave them reason to investigate." She dropped the folder, color draining from her face. "You ruined my life." I let the silence hang, heavy and deliberate. "No," I said finally. I gave it a mirror. She came back the next week, smaller somehow, her arrogance replaced with pleading. "They're talking about temporary custody reviews," she whispered. I nodded. "That's what happens when you abandon your kids." "I didn't abandon them." "Then prove it," I said, voice steady. "Show up. Be a mother, not a tourist." She stared at me, the sister she'd always used, suddenly the one holding the knife. "I can't believe you do this to me." I smiled faintly. "You taught me how." Weeks passed. She tried to repair the damage. Therapy sessions, family meetings, court apologies. I watched from a distance, no longer her shadow. When she called one evening, tentative, voice low, she asked, "Will you ever forgive me?" I thought about that hospital room, about her text, about her laughter echoing in my doorway while my stitches bled beneath my robe. I already did, I said, but forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. There was a long pause. Then she hung up. Sometimes justice doesn't roar, it whispers. It looks like a quiet woman on an armchair, sipping tea, while the person who broke her learns what broken really means. My scars healed slowly, both the visible and the invisible ones, but I learned something vital in that pain, that being quiet isn't the same as being weak.